Welcome to our deep dive into the Gran Turismo series and what made the games so great, from their explosion onto the scene in the early 90s to their huge presence in the esports scene of the modern day. Often perceived as the greatest Gran Turismo game of all time, despite selling less copies than its predecessor, Gran Turismo 4 excelled in ways that nobody could have predicted and cemented the series as legendary, despite a myriad of titles to come. Gran Turismo 4 was the last Gran Turismo release for the PlayStation 2. It built upon GT3 the same way GT2 had built upon GT1, with more of everything. Along with the standard incremental improvements in visuals and physics that players had come to expect of the series, Gran Turismo 4 ramped up the content beyond all expectations. With 82 circuit variations and 729 car models, version depending of course, the game allows nearly 60,000 combinations of cars and tracks. Gran Turismo 4 also featured the first iteration of the series' driver management simulation called B-Spec. Originally intended as a standalone game to complement Gran Turismo 3 A-Spec, the project had been shelved and was finally included as part of Gran Turismo 4. Players were provided with a virtual driver who could be directed via a game menu to go faster, slower, to pass, or to pit. As the driver raced, he improved and could be trained on the various tracks to peak ability. He could be used in all but the special condition races to earn game completion percentage for the player. Another concept introduced in GT4 was A-Spec points. The player's car for a given race was compared to its virtual opponents and scored on a scale of 0 to 200. The more inferior the car was to its competition, the more points the player would be rewarded. Every race had a maximum of 200 A-Spec points available, although it was unattainable for certain single model series. The player's total A-Spec score was noted in the home garage, with a maximum of 111,813. Photo mode also made its first bow in GT4, allowing players to capture images from races or scenic photo mode locations, using a highly variable camera with a number of available filters. The images could be then exported to a USB device plugged into the PS2. At the time, Gran Turismo 4 also had the most circuits available to players in the series' history, featuring 37 different track locations and 82 drivable configurations. Classic fictional circuits were accompanied by new ones, with street circuits in Paris, Hong Kong and Seoul. New real-world circuits included Suzuka, Motegi and Sears Point. The real stars of GT4's tracklist, however, were the Circuit de la Sarthe, home of the 24 Hours of Le Mans, and the Nürburgring Nordschleife, both of which played host to 24-hour races in the game. For arcade mode, the tracks are divided into world circuits, original circuits, city courses and dirt and snow. 12 of the original circuits, 11 of the city courses and all 7 of the dirt and snow tracks have reverse variants. The 82nd track was a 400-metre drag strip set on the Las Vegas Strip, available only under the power and speed section of GT mode. The driving park Gymkhana course was also carried over from GT4 Prologue, but with no defined circuit, it was a mere sandbox. As with every flagship Gran Turismo release, license tests returned for GT4. With the vast array of new circuits and a massive car list, GT4's licenses were more comprehensive than ever, with 16 tests in 5 sections, and, as with GT4 Prologue, a non-compulsory coffee break for each license area. Rally tests became reintegrated with the main licenses, and every 5th test for each license took the form of a full lap of a track behind the pace car, introduced in concept. Unlike concept, however, the pace car could not be contacted or overtaken in the license test, disqualifying the player for either. With Gran Turismo 4's new map interface came new treatment for the game's race events. Manufacturer events returned in the dealership areas, organised by country. Other events were divided up across a number of halls, spread across the map. Events varied greatly, with specific races for cars of different drive types, national origins, power, age, size, aspiration and class. With manufacturer events also catering to specific marques and models, nearly every car in Gran Turismo 4 had a practical purpose. The addition of Circuit de la Sarthe and the Nürburgring Nordschleife saw the introduction of 24-hour races, one of the most difficult challenges in racing. With 2 configurations of Circuit de la Sarthe, there were a total of 3 24-hour challenges, alongside other endurance challenges of 9 hours or 1,000 kilometres. There was even a modern homage to the classic Mille Miglia, set over 4 European tracks and open to pre-1970 cars. In total, the game presented over 200 hours of driving if each race was only done once. If desired, players could have their B-Spec driver complete all or part of any non-special conditions race. The B-Spec driver could take over at pit stops and the passage of time accelerated to triple speed. However, only races entirely driven in A-Spec would accumulate A-Spec points, and races entirely driven in B-Spec would accumulate B-Spec points. Gran Turismo 4's car list was a new high for the series. With 710 different vehicles available in the initial Japanese release and 729 in the worldwide version, the game featured more cars than had ever been seen in any racing game before it. A record that has still only been surpassed by subsequent Gran Turismo titles. With more than 80 manufacturers, the game saw debuts for a number of cars and marques, including Swedish, Volvo, and Spanish Seat models. The game also drew on significant models in automotive history, including the original Volkswagen Beetle, Citroën 2CV, Auto Union's famous Type C Streamline, the 1915 Ford Model T, and, for the only time in racing game history, the Daimler motor carriage and the Benz Patent motor wagon, the first 2 cars ever made. Of course, GT4 didn't just concentrate on the past. Amongst the concepts and prototypes, one special addition to the game was the Nike One concept car, listed in the game as a 2022 model. The car is a radical futuristic concept, with individual electric motors driving each of the 4 hubless wheels. It even derives its power from bioelectricity, harvested from the driver's daily exercising. Along with the standard electric cars and hybrids, the Nike One formed part of GT4's alternative fuel stable, which included the GT Series' first diesel car, a BMW 120D from 2004. The list of supercars expanded with the new Ford GT, which featured on the game's cover. There was also the Cizeta V16T, the McLaren SLR, the revised TVR Cerbera Speed 12, and a fleet of Pagani Zondas. There was even a custom-built hot rod with a 20-litre engine from a tank. More and more race cars also made appearances, with it now being possible to field an entire grid of different DTM cars or Super GT cars. Le Mans races from 1967 through to 2004 were also available, including a number of outright or class winners. Do you agree that Gran Turismo 4 is the best of all time from Polyphony Digital? Did you prefer number 3, or are there later titles that surpass its greatness? Make sure you join us next time on GT Planet to see what followed and how it matched up.